What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Pat here, and today I have kind of a treat for everyone. I'm really excited about this video because I love 50s Magnatones. They are awesome, and they're kind of sleeper amps. And I have three Magnatone 150s in right now. This is not a common amp. This one we're going to restore right now. This is a 1956, and it was brought in by a customer, Ed, who has great taste in amps. And as I start working on this, a collector noticed that I had a 150, and he brought in his two. So we actually have three to kind of mess around with. I really am excited about this video. We're going to talk about rockabilly, early guitar, and we're going to talk about high-powered amps that were available in 1955 and 1956, which isn't a lot. So let's take a look at this Magnatone and let's get started. The Magnatone 150. What a beaut. We have a 2-channel amp. We have treble and bass knobs, standby power, remote speaker out. This one does not have what they call the hi-fi switch. But this one has it, and this one has it. And the hi-fi switch is adjusting negative feedback, so you can clean it up. In the early and mid-50s, Magnatone made two big amps, the Maestro and the Triple X. Both amps have a single 15, and both amps came without a little 6-inch speaker here. Most of the Triple X's do have the 6-inch speaker, and most of the 150s don't have the 6-inch speaker. But I have seen them with the 6-inch speaker. And looking at this one here, Ed's, you can see it has a factory delete plate. Out of the Magnatone factory, these came with Jensen P15Ns. Beautiful speaker. Here's Ed's chassis. We have a lot of work to do here. Look at this thing. Someone changed the AC cable before. I see some replaced caps, but we are going to clean all this up. We are changing the filter caps. We have 3 cans to change, 1, 2, 3. We're going to change all this, and we are also going to change these caps and do a restoration. And I'm curious to test the wattage, and these are known to be 25 watt amps. Depending on where the B plus sits, I'm going to guess these are 30, if not 35 watts, which is going to be interesting to test at the end because these have ultra linear transformers. You did not have a lot of power available in the early and mid 50s. What makes this amp unique is it has an ultra linear transformer, borrowed from the hi-fi world. You start to see in the 50s Scott, Fairchild come out with ultralinear designs. Ultralinear designs can get you a little bit more power using the same power tubes. You didn't see ultralinear transformers until the late 60s with Sun, who borrowed their ideas from the hi-fi world, and then Fender in the mid 70s. They had the Basement 70 and the 135 UL Twin. So to see an ultralinear transformer in a mid-early 50s guitar amp, this might be the first, to be honest. You did not have many options available in 1956. How about Shop Dog Miller? How about it?
Good boy, you're a good boy. Who's a good boy?
Early and mid-50s, you want 25 watts. What are your options? This amp, the 180 from Magnatone, and Gibson had some choices. You had the I wrote this down, the GA50, the GA175, and the GA90. There was also the EH185. That came out much before. That was like right after World War II, I believe. You could have gotten one of those. But that didn't have 25 watts. Probably had about 20, 22. Pair of 6L6s, cathode bias. You were getting some PAs that were getting some juice at that time. Strawberry and Carlson, Bogan, Masco. Fender. You had some choices with Fender. You had the 5E8 low power twin, 55. You have the Bassman in 55, and you have the Pro. There you go, 25 watts. There's also the low power twin, low power twin, low power tweed twin, which nobody talks about. They made 500 or less of these. In 53, 54, the 5C8 low power twin. Really cool amp. Just don't hear anything about these things. I actually built one in a Stromberg Carlson PA. It's like my first amp I ever built. Still have it. It's so sloppy, but it really works and sounds great. I just replaced one of the cans. Now we're gonna do the other. I got my big Bertha vintage soldering iron out here. Gotta have one of these. It's like butter. I'm putting in reproduction can capacitors from Hayseed Hamfest. I talk about them often. I really do like the components. I know I can stuff in discrete capacitors, maybe save $50, but I do like it looking all original. That is important to me. I know some people think that's silly, but to me, it's not. These capacitors look really good when they're installed. Chromed also. Body heat being thrown off this, I gotta be quicker. So still to this day, these 50s Magnatones are actually kind of hip down in Nashville for a lot of country sessions, a lot of pedal steel sessions. And they were hip to them back in the 50s, so kind of cool. So in the 50s, who actually used these bigger Magnatones? Eddie Cochran used them. How often, I'm not sure, but there is kind of a famous photo of him using one. Right? Ain't no cure for the summertime blues. Da-da-da-da. Blue Cheer, great cover. Um, what else? I don't know. Videos. Um, Hubert Sumlin, Howlin' Wolf's guitarist. I'm telling you, any day that you don't listen to Howlin' Wolf and Hubert Sumlin is like a lame day. Like, come on. Hubert Sumlin is the man. Love that shit. Okay, who's Grady Martin? Grady Martin played one of these. Great guitarist. He played with Elvis. He played with Johnny Cash, Patsy Cline. He played with Marty Robbins, Big Iron, Loretta Lynn. He played one of these, and I also believe he had a 180. Big Magnatone user. Used them off of the 60s too. Now, so we talked about the different models. Actually, no, we didn't talk about the different models. So 1950s Magnatone. So in the late 40s, Magnatone made a lot of lap steels and little amps that would go with them. The Starlet and the Varsity, so model 107 and 108. These are really beautiful. They use the mother of pearl finish. They come in all kinds of amazing colors, and the grill usually has a beautiful screen print of an Hawaiian scene, hula girls, what have you. Um, the model after that, the bigger one, is the Meliter, I think. That's the 109. And then above that is the Troubadour, the 112. This is really almost identical to a 5E3. And people are catching on. Prices have gone up, but you can get one of those. Honestly, they're pretty the desert island amp for me. So the Troubadour 112, Magnatone. When my kids were little, I was trying to come up with some money for some extra scratch, and I actually was flipping some amps, and I got a Maestro, a Troubadour, and a Varsity, fixed them up, and put them on the sales floor at the same time, trying to get a buzz, and put them on the sales floor, got in my car, went home, and before I even got in my front door, I got a call. Walter Becker just came in and bought all three, so he liked them too. And surprise, surprise, look, I found an old photo of him. I'm eager to test the wattage here. I got 490 volts on the plates of the power tubes. I know I'm going to get more than 25 watts. It's working right, at least. And it is. All right, let's see. So let's see our clean headroom, right? Where it starts to clip. We'll say about 16, right? So 16 times 16 divided by 8 ohm load, we have 32 watts clean. There you go. All about it. Now let's bring it up. Let's see what we can get this up to, maxing it out. 18.5. I say 18.5. It doesn't want to get to 19. Oops. 18.5 times 18.5 divided by the load is 42 watts max output. And here's our hi-fi switch. Now, let me take this off the tripod and show you something. Again, the hi-fi switch is just adding more negative feedback. So it would clean it up. So, is it here? Brings it down. With early rock and roll came the need for louder amps. An early pioneer of rockabilly was Gene Vincent and his guitarist Cliff Gallup. What amp did he use? A Magnatone 150. So one notable amp to mention is the Echo Sonic. It was built by Ray Butts. He made about 68 of them. It was about a 15 watt amp, and it actually had a tape delay unit in the bottom of the amplifier cabinet. And that's how they got that sound. That's really rockabilly guys. Scotty Moore had one, and Carl Perkins. Also too, remember, they didn't have reverb in amps yet. So sometimes when you think you're hearing reverb in those records, if they didn't have an Echo Sonic, you're probably hearing slapback delay. It's a studio trick where you take two tape machines and you create kind of a delay. Scotty Moore using the Echo Sonic. Okay, we're getting off track. Back to the Magnatone 150. Alright, let's try it. Hey, I want to dedicate this video to Molly. We lost Molly to COVID-19. She owned an international bar on First Avenue. I think Rolling Stone